The arrival of love is supposed to be an uncomplicated blessing. After years of waiting, hoping, enduring disappointments and near misses, a genuinely kind and emotionally available person finally appears. They seem mature and reflective. They acknowledge their shortcomings. They apologize without being prompted. They listen carefully, ask real questions, and remember the answers. They show curiosity, patience, and generosity. They are attentive without being intrusive, present without being demanding. A relationship forms, and at first it unfolds exactly as one might hope. There are shared trips, perhaps a first holiday to Pisa, then a quiet weekend in Wales, later a casual visit to Nottingham. Friends and family are gradually introduced, best friends from training courses, a favorite aunt, a brother-in-law. Laughter becomes frequent, sex is inventive and tender. Conversations stretch late into the night. Slowly, gently, something that feels like home begins to emerge. And yet, beneath this warmth, something uneasy stirs, especially in the partner who is unconsciously afraid of love. Alongside comfort and closeness, a sense of rising alarm takes hold. The very stability of the bond begins to feel threatening. At first, this fear expresses itself indirectly. The emotional temperature is lowered just a little. An argument erupts over something trivial, on the steps of a museum perhaps, ruining an otherwise pleasant afternoon. A sudden, ambiguous illness cancels a few dinners. An urgent need to see a friend disrupts a weekend meant for intimacy. There is always something, a course that must be attended, a shelf that must be fixed, an obligation that cannot wait. None of these acts seem dramatic on their own, but taken together they form a quiet strategy, a series of subtle maneuvers designed to prevent intimacy from deepening, to halt dependence before it becomes unavoidable. A shared home is slowly dismantled even as it appears to be under construction. An analogy helps clarify what is happening. Imagine someone captured very young during a brutal war. They grow up in a prison camp with barely enough food to survive. Over time, their body adapts. Hunger becomes familiar. Their stomach shrinks to accommodate scarcity. Then, one day, the war ends. The gates open. Liberation arrives. A feast is prepared. Warm bread, rich cheeses, chocolate tarts, ripe fruit, cured meats. It should be a moment of joy, but the body cannot cope. The abundance is overwhelming. The nourishment is too rich, too sudden, impossible to digest. Something similar happens to people who cannot tolerate love. They were emotionally starved early in life, perhaps by a mother overwhelmed by depression or illness, or a father ruled by anger who later disappeared or betrayed the family. They were not emotionally fed. Safety, reassurance, and consistency were absent. Their emotional capacity never fully developed. Their emotional stomach shrank. They dream of love, as the deprived always do. They long for closeness, care, and understanding. But when these finally arrive, they feel unbearable. Kindness feels suspicious. Reliability feels dangerous. Trust feels alien. Slowly, a distorted narrative takes shape. Something must be wrong with the person offering so much. The loving partner is reinterpreted as controlling, suffocating, manipulative. These accusations are often the inverse of reality. They are the unconscious cries of a terrified mind asking questions it cannot consciously face. What am I supposed to do with kindness? How do I survive being valued? How can I handle trust without losing myself? Beneath all of this lies a far deeper terror, the fear of loss. If this person were taken away now, the pain would be catastrophic. It would feel unsurvivable. And so, paradoxically, the safest option becomes to destroy the bond oneself, rather than risk losing it unexpectedly. Better to leave than be left. Better to sabotage than to depend. The lover who fears love begins setting charges: an affair, a sudden withdrawal, a grave rupture of trust, a canceled holiday, silence, emotional disappearance. When confronted, the explanation is already prepared. You're too demanding. You're complaining about nothing. You don't understand my needs. You're controlling. And then it ends. In what is often called an avoidant discard, a relationship that took months or years to build can be demolished in days, sometimes hours. Social media profiles are updated instantly, dating apps are reinstalled, the former partner is rewritten as intense, unreasonable, impossible. The love apparently never existed. For the person left behind, the experience is devastating. They are rejected for reasons that do not align with reality, accused of offenses they did not commit, abandoned by someone they deeply loved who denies any responsibility. It takes immense psychological strength not to fracture under this contradiction. At moments like these, certain truths must be held on to firmly. We are not discarded because we were cruel, needy, or inadequate. We were discarded because love is terrifying to those who never received it when they needed it most once. We cared for people who, at their core, do not feel worthy of care. And tragically, for them, love feels far more dangerous than cruelty ever did.